Alexander, we are now on day 69 of this war. When you see the Russian tactic in the south and east, trying to take all of that territory and potentially connect it to Moldova all the way across Ukraine, is it working or is it a disaster?
Well, I don't think it's working as been initially intended, so far as we can tell from Russian plans. But at the same time, they still have resources to kind of continue with the advance if it's slower than before. But nevertheless, they still control substantial areas in the south, and they are advancing even very, very slowly, but still advancing in the east. So, so I don't think it's. We are anywhere near the end of it, the Russia still has resources to continue its offensive.
Okay, so Russia's stated goals at the beginning of this were to, quote, denazify and demilitarize Ukraine. And it kept saying how determined it was to stop Ukraine from joining NATO, that posed a threat. But by doing what it's done, hasn't it only created a more unfriendly neighbor and a more dangerous neighbor to itself for potentially decades to come?
Yes, we will certainly see there is kind of much greater intensity of conflict than was ever before 2014, since 2014, and increasing support of NATO, which Russia never expected, I guess, for Ukraine. So, but this equally kind of means that Russia has. Kind of to consolidate its gains to the greatest extent possible now, since Ukraine will always be a hostile nation to Russia. So yeah, I mean, in that sense, unintended consequences of intended actions backfired on Russia, but at the same time, so it doesn't really have much room for maneuver now, and just will have to stick with its territorial gains at the expense of everything else. So installing friendly regime is no longer an option. So it just wants to grab as much territory as possible before settling for a longer-term kind of conflict.
All right, Alexander Titov, thanks so much.